You're listening to All Things Transformers, version 2.0.
Hello and welcome to All Things Transformers version 2.0 episode 50. I'm your host Steve Megatron Phillips and joining me is
Steve and Mike.
And Pecan Court Michael. Hey, how's it going?
It's going.
Yeah, it's going.
So yes, this is the BotCon edition.
BotCon 2015 was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we would have done this sooner, but I totally blew you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said,
That's what she said.
I don't need to talk to these guys.
That's just so not right.
As long as we're in different states, I can say that with a straight face.
Wow.
Okay, my lips don't go that far. Sorry.
Some bad Beast Unleashed humor.
Yeah.
So, BotCon. Yeah, how about that? Let's talk about BotCon.
So this was Steve's first BotCon, right?
Yes.
But you only went one day because that's all you could afford.
It wasn't necessarily that. I mean, that was part of it, but the other part of it was the fact that I work during the week and I can't take it off. So,
yeah. And
I know that BotCon starts on like a Thursday now, so I don't know how long it's done that. I mean, I know that mostly it starts on Friday, but I mean, most people start getting
not necessarily.
There like
I mean, if you are registered, you can pick up your box set and stuff on Thursday night. But it's not. There's nothing really happening officially. I mean, unofficially, there's parts parties, there's gatherings and stuff for people who know each other and that type of thing. But officially, nothing's really going on.
I did wish that I could have stayed for the Sunday, but I had to drive back. Plus, my kid was missing me, something terrible.
Oh.
So, he's like, "Where's Daddy?" "Oh, he's at a convention." And he's like, "He's sleeping, isn't he?"
Sleeping. We have Skype, right? Last I checked, I'm pretty sure. See, I Skype my kids like every night, and they're like, "Daddy," I'm like, "Hey, buddy," and we talked, and it kind of killed the homesickness.
Yeah.
After 3 days, the homesick was hitting pretty hard.
So, Steve, overall, with this being your first BotCon, what was your impression for the convention in general?
I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what to think because I've heard all the, of course, every convention you're going to hear all the bad stuff before you're going to hear like all the great stuff that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of going at it from the experience of I didn't care if I hit all the panels. Of course, Frank was the major draw, but I really wanted to meet everybody that I know online.
Mm-hmm.
And get to, just put face to screen name and kind of hang out with everybody for a little bit. So it was kind of more of that kind of meeting up and then just kind of experiencing the convention itself and not really worrying about anything. So that made it fun in its own right.
Cool. So who all did you meet there?
Well, of course I met you.
Yeah, I was there.
You were the first one I met. I did end up passing by Proto Man.
Oh, you say hi?
No, he didn't want to. He was having a long conversation.
Oh,
And
That's an
Derek Wyatt was
understatement.
supposed to be at the same table, but he was nowhere to be found. Because I was just going to go up and go, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he wasn't there either. So I kind of kept going. Cell service was terrible there.
yeah,
That
it was
the only thing.
awful.
It was terrible.
The
Because like I
farther
kept
back
having to
you
go.
got, yeah, worse it got.
I had to get closer to the front and then go up against a wall just to get service so that I could text you.
Yeah, it was really bad.
And then kind of went around the booths, kind of look at stuff. My brother's with me, and we were kind of just looking around everything, kind of comparing prices and kind of seeing if we wanted to get anything. Looking at all the exclusives, looking at all the BotCon stuff that people had gotten in the past. And then we met, after we met you, Michael, we met Jim Sorensen.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah, I called him over. Jim,
yep.
get over here.
Which was hilarious.
Still, Jim's like, "Who the hell is this guy?" You know, I'm just...
I was like, "Hey," he was real nice, but he's, you could see it in the back of his mind, like, hey, "Who the f is this guy?
Who the hell are these people?" Yeah. Well, you know, Jim is in charge of taking, the official, quote unquote, official photos for the fun publications. So the pictures that show up on the website, that's all him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did not know that.
Just imagine, Michael, if Dan Gilvezan was there. He'd be like, "Hey, Terry."
He called me Terry last time I saw him. Yeah. Well, no, yeah, last time I saw him, I talked to him and I said, "Hey, we did that podcast," and he goes, "Oh, you're Terry." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
It's like, thanks for remembering. Thanks for noticing me.
Thanks for noticing me. Exactly. But that's a different convention.
But yeah, then I met later on one of the guys from our fan dubbing thing that I've been doing off and on for the last 10 years.
Okay.
He's the current guy running the Headmasters dub.
Okay.
So I met him, and then he kind of introduced me, because when I was actually standing in line for the picture of Frank, I bumped into John Bailey.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
On my way through the line, and he's he's having a conversation. I go up to him, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah, and he's like, "Who the hell are you?" Just not really saying that. It was funny though. He's like, "Hey," and then he's like, and then I just kind of introduced myself, and he's like, "Okay," and then he just went back to his conversation, like, I don't know who the hell that guy is.
Kind of sizes you up and go, yeah, I don't like you.
So it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Which I don't expect him to know who the hell I am. Like, I don't.
Well, you just expect people
to be
friendly
name, but that's
in general. Yeah, you expect people, especially people who, I don't know, whose livelihood it revolves around people liking them. I guess it would be good to be friendly.
But yeah, so that was the awkward conversation to begin with. I did end up meeting him later because Derek, which was the name of the guy that does the fan dub stuff, he reintroduced me to John and to Frank Todaro, the guy that was doing the panel with Frank Welker.
Yeah.
So they're also guys that have done the fan dub stuff. So I was familiar with them and I knew them online before, but
so you know Frank Todaro?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I did not. I did not know Frank, and ended up talking to him later after sometime Sunday, and I was like, oh hey, really good job on I was talking about the script reading panel. I said, really good job on the script reading. That was fantastic. And I said, looks like you got the lion's share of the voice work. And he's like, oh yeah, I totally didn't plan it that way. That's just the way we got it. And I said, no, you were awesome. And I told him I took the video from like the front row. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. You gotta send me a link to that as soon as you get it. And he gave me his card, and I let him know as soon as I got it uploaded.
Yeah, I was far enough back that I couldn't really couldn't really get a good quality one, and John Bailey's was pretty good too, but yours I think was the best one that I saw out there. So I was like, I'll just watch this one.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Like I said, the guy next to me had a tripod. I was like, dude, you should put this online. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, no, seriously, you kind of obligated. If you're right up front like this, you really should put it online. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm like, well, mine's not going to be that great because it's shaky cam. It's kind of wild. I tried to stay as still as I could, but this guy, had a tripod. I didn't have a tripod.
But yeah, I mean, when we sat down with John Bailey, because like they were all, they were all kind of hanging out by the bar after Welker's panel, and we were sitting there and just kind of BSing, and my brothers joined us, and then Frank's like, man, he's like, not Frank, John Bailey's like, wow, it looks like I'm doing character select through Grand Theft Auto. Between me and my brothers, because I had the shortest hair, like facial hair and hair on the top of my head, and then like as it went younger, and brother, the facial, the more hair, and so he was kind of ragging on us, and then he started doing all of his anecdotes of people he's done voice dialogue replacements for, like basically Jeff Bridges is a slowed down John Madden. He says, ever since True Grit, he's gotten that in his voice and just kind of never lost it. So he says, yeah, I get to do replacement for him.
Okay.
I was like, that's cool. But yeah, we kind of sat there for a while. But yeah, it was, I met quite a few people, so it was kind of cool.
Well, neat. Yeah, I didn't hang out at the bar very much. Yeah, I hate to compare it to like TFW in Chicago, but the
TFCon. TFW is the website.
Not TFW. TFCon. The one we were just talking about. But on that particular one, they had a really nice bar, and everybody went to it. And here it was kind of like they had like a little corner, part of a corner that you had to walk through to get to the convention area. Had a couple of tables.
It was real weird.
It wasn't a very well, honestly, the whole place was like a rat warren. I mean, you had to kind of wiggle around down this little side tunnel in order to get to where the restaurants were, and half the people there were like, I don't know, there's supposed to be a restaurant here. I really don't know where it is, and it's like, well, you got to go through this weird archway, and it's like, well. It was cleverly disguised as like an employees only type area where where you would expect people, the people who work there to duck into to like replenish the supplies and things, but it was actually a hallway that took you back to where the ballrooms and the restaurants were. So it was just really confusing.
Yeah, I was having a hard time getting around there. Just because I wasn't familiar with the setup. So, whereas I think when I went to TFCon in 2012, it was pretty much laid out as a normal convention. Everything was kind of all surrounding it, so it was real easy to get to everything.
Mm-hmm. As it should be, because you would think, okay, well, this is going to be laid out in such a way where the people that are attending can find things easily. They're not going to get lost and unhappy. Food is readily available.
Well, that's what BotCon's all about, is making people readily unhappy.
That's about it.
I mean, seriously, wasn't there something this year where they're like, yep, no registration, just everybody come as you are?
Well, I was kidding when I said that.
No, it wasn't you. I thought I saw something where someone else said that BotCon did away with registration.
No, that was me.
Oh.
I said that, yeah, because they, the way they handled registration, it was like, okay, BotCon's in 2 weeks. We haven't been able to register yet. And they're like, oh, it's coming. It's, as soon as we get the system ready, it's going to happen. And finally they said, all right, it's done. And everybody tried to log in and do it, and it didn't work. And they said, okay, never mind. we'll do it in a couple more days. And then we tried again. Oh, no, it's not working yet. All right, well, hell, when is it going to work? And then I posted that message. It's like, okay, there is no more registration. Just bring your cash to the front door. And a lot of people.
It was that simple.
Exactly. No, it would be terrible, pandemonium. But a lot of people replied and CC'd BotCon and said, "Is this true? Are they canceling the registration?" And the BotCon people, after about a day, responded, "No, that's just some internet jokes. That's not true." And I'm like, it's funny that even you heard that and didn't attribute it to me because who the hell am I? But
Stop it.
But yeah, that's funny. That's funny. But what was really funny though is when they finally did open registration, I found out by accident because I was just literally sitting in my office just hitting the refresh, and then I'd go do something, I'd come back, I'd hit refresh, and I'd go do something, I'd come back, I'd hit refresh, and it popped up. And it said, click here to register. And I'm like, heck yeah, I will. And I signed myself up for everything and got what I needed. And about a minute later, the tweet came in, said, registration is now open. I said, haha.
So you single-handedly destroyed and restored registration.
Exactly. That was me. That was all me. But when I did register, I thought that two things were going to happen. Number one, I thought that the box sets and all the registrations were going to go immediately, and number two, I thought that the Frank Welker packages were going to go immediately, and that wasn't so much the case. In fact, they were offering to sell the Frank Welker photo ops on I want to say Saturday, yeah, because they hadn't sold them all yet.
Maybe if they'd made the packages more affordable.
Well, they probably decided if they were going to pay Frank X amount of dollars.
Yeah, I can see they're trying to recoup.
Yeah, well, not even, break even. Even break even. So let's say if they spent, I don't know, $42,000, they would have to sell 800 of the packages to break even. My math might be off. And I know that there was a line of 150 people for autographs, the first day, and 150 people for autographs the second day. So, as far as I can tell, maybe they didn't break even.
So, what was the theme this year? Because I'm looking at the website and I'm like, I don't recognize any of these damn toys.
No, the theme was the theme was like heist. It was a heist type of thing, and so they had Megatron the leader, Oil Master the muscle, Pack Rat the thief, and they were I honestly only skimmed through the comic book. I didn't read it, but that was that was the thing. They had Autobot Stepper, which I believe
repainted Jazz.
Well, of course it's a repainted. No, what is that when they're reverse? That's like mirror universe.
Shattered Glass.
It's a Shattered Glass Stepper, and then Battle Trap, who's instead of being a Duocon, is a triple changer. He's a repaint of Springer. But the cool thing is Oil Master. Oil Master is a double Pretender. I mean, it's literally like a big ape shell that splits open, and you pull a robot out.
Yeah, that would be Optimus Primal, sort of.
Well,
it's kind of like they merged Beast Wars and Generations all into one thing.
Well, no, what was interesting though is that at the panel they said, now we have this new mold, this basically a giant ape with a little robot comes out of it. What's next for that mold? Is it going to be club exclusive only, or do you think Hasbro will use it? And they basically said they don't know, but after creating the mold and all that, I mean, Hasbro owns it. It would be a shame if they didn't do something with it.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah. Until they go back to trying to reuse different theme, like regular, like the animated theme or a Beast Machines theme or something like that, I'm just not going to care about the toys.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think they've run afoul of that already because, they've done that. They don't want to do the same thing over again. So what do? Well, let's do Machine Wars. Oh, God, those are awful. Let's do G2. Nah, let's not do that anymore. So now it's like, well, I guess we can try to go back to some of the stuff that people liked. We'll throw some Beast Wars in there. We'll throw some Shattered Glass in there. We'll just see what sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, and granted, from what I understand, a lot of people aren't happy with some of the extras that we had. But everyone seems to be pretty impressed with that Oil Master. He's kind of neat. I
mean, I think the toys are
but he's still
cool.
neat.
If I could have afforded them, I probably would have got them. But
Well, they got a buttload of them left over. You can so so good. What killed me though, I'm in line for registration, and they say, okay, now, you already signed up for your box set. Now you can get your 2015 exclusive toys. But while you're at it, how about some 2014 exclusive toys? We also have some 2013 exclusive toys. And I'm thinking, why are these not all sold out? Was this? Were they complete crap? I don't know.
Kinda.
I don't remember. I remember looking at them last year and going, yeah, maybe I'm kind of happy I'm not going.
I don't remember what was the year that they did Classics Universe versus Shattered Glass, where they had that crappy looking Shattered Glass Optimus that was based off of some weird Ultra Magnus mold or so. I think that was 2012 or 2013. I forget. Honestly, for me and my interests, there hasn't been a decent, really awesome set since 2011 in animated.
Oh, did I miss 2011? I didn't do 2011. Huh.
You missed out on the Stunticon job?
I did, yeah.
Ow.
I did not get the Stunticon job.
You are so kicked out of the fandom.
I'm a terrible, terrible fan. In fact, I think that was the year that I was really aggravated that I didn't go. Aside from 2005, which was the first year Fun Pub had their box sets, and it turned out to be really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So anyhow.
What other experiences did you guys have at BotCon this year?
Well, Steve met Frank Welker.
Yes, I did.
Briefly. Yeah, which was
thanks
cool.
to somebody on this show.
Yeah, he happened into a ticket. So this is interesting the difference between our meetings of Frank Welker here. So I had an autograph session with Frank Welker, and I wanted him to sign my Legacy book from Jim Sorensen and Bill Forster. Right. So I we get in. What was I? I don't know. I might have been like somewhere between like 5th and 10th in line or something.
Mm-hmm.
And number one, because the whole place is a rat warren, and you can't find where they want you to be. Where is this place? It's like, okay, remember the bar we were talking about? Yeah. You had to find your way to the bar and then go behind the elevators.
Oh God!
To get to the room.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. Oh, anyway, so no one else could find the damn thing. So I walk up. I got a pretty good place in line, and so I'm guessing that about the first, I don't know, dozen or so people actually came in and had a conversation with the guy, as opposed to just signing something. Because it was like, I walked in and said, "Hey, how are you?" And he's like, "Hi, I'm Frank Welker." And I'm like, "Well, I know." What an amazing coincidence! I'm here to meet Frank Welker. But we talked for, I want to say, we had a moment. It was a good 30, 40 seconds.
Oh.
And
for a minute there, I thought you were going to say it was a Scott McNeil moment, but that'll never happen to Frank Welker.
No. Honestly, the way they had this place set up, it's like they had a room that he was in, and they had armed guards. And well, I should say armed guard.
Don't touch the Megatron. Don't touch the Megatron. Don't touch the Megatron.
Right. They had a guy positioned in the front door, so no one else could come in. They had two guys inside, not including the photographer, right? Two guys inside, and then they had another guy stationed in the next room because there's two adjoining rooms. And what they would do is they would shuttle you into the first room and then shuffle you out to the next room very quickly.
So basically what you're telling us is that Frank Welker has the Earth Defense Command as his bodyguards.
If the Earth Defense Command is made up entirely of unarmed BotCon employees, then yes. Yeah.
If Marissa Fairborn was there, it would be Earth Defense Command.
There you go. So
wait. Marissa Fairborn was at BotCon this year. Sue Blue voiced her.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So anyway, it was nice. It was, like I said, there was a moment. And I guess further down the line, not everyone kind of got that moment because they were shuffling. They were shuffling people faster. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and it was kind of the same thing when I had my photograph too. I walked up, shook his hand. He said, "Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, I remember you. Yeah." And we smiled, click, got a picture. Out the door I went. Mm-hmm. When I went in the next day to get another picture because the first one wasn't good enough apparently. They by that time I was like 50th in line, and they were really just pulling people through. I mean, Frank was just standing there like this rictus, on his face, and everyone just kind of ran past him and they snapped pictures.
Yeah, I can see, because this would be his first BotCon, that he would get tired very easily with the constant photo op all day long, having everybody through that actually paid. No, I mean, I know the guy got paid to be there, but I'm just saying, like, the man doesn't do... Honestly, this is probably the first time I've ever heard of Frank Welker being at any convention whatsoever. Yeah. So this is a man who prides himself and loves his privacy. Yeah, he's been doing voices since 1969 or before, but it's one of those things where this was a new experience for him, and he needed, all new experiences, you need to adjust to them. And, by the time that, you went back and being 40th or 50th in line, and, him looking the way you say he looked, that means that he was getting really tired.
He's getting tired, yeah. Well, and that, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, dude, you're getting paid to be here. On the other hand, again, this number...
I think after 30 years, we can cut him some slack.
Well, people were telling me, well, the only reason he's here is for the money, because Peter Cullen told him that, oh man, the money's really good. You got to go do the convention circuit. And I'm thinking, I was telling people, you know what? Honestly, this guy, he flies his own planes. He spends an inordinate amount of time playing golf. He doesn't need the money.
He steals steak dinners.
Exactly, he steals steak dinners.
That was funny.
I was told he actually said that wasn't true. Yeah. Anyway, if you were there, anyway, so
I know it was in the video.
Yeah, go watch the video. So the video I took, not those other ones; those are crap. I'm in the front row. Damn it.
Use Michael Wilson's.
Yeah, use mine. Anyway, as I was saying though, but then this number I hear, this inordinately large number that starts with a 4, comes around, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's ridiculous, because if he's doing this convention and then maybe 2 or 3 more before the end of the year, that's a lot of money. We're quickly getting into 6 figures for what, 3 days work.
If he does all these conventions, but like I said, this was his first. Yeah. And who knows if he wants to do it again. Because look how long it took him to actually choose to come. Regardless, they could have. It doesn't matter. They could have thrown any obscene amount of money at him.
Yeah.
They could have, brought dump trucks of gold from Die Hard
back
3.
up the truck.
Just back the truck up to his
back
house.
Back up the truck.
We really, 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 really want you at our convention. Is this enough gold? It's not like we can, build you a golden lagoon, but this is as good as we can get.
This is as good as we can get. Well, I don't know. I mean, his appearance there, what the things he said, what he, especially talking with individual people, as well as talking on the stage, did not reconcile with what we had been previously told. At least I didn't think so. It's like, no, he's a very kind man, but he's private, he's reclusive, he's practically a hermit. You can't get close to him because he's got Howard Hughes where he doesn't want to touch anything, gnarly fingernails and toenails and shit. I don't know, but when you meet him, he's very warm, very welcoming. He didn't seem terribly shy. He shook my hand a couple of times. So I don't know. I just felt like, man, maybe all the stories people have been saying for years aren't all that true. Maybe he's not a recluse, he's not so shy that he's afraid to talk to people.
I just think what it is he prefers, it's not necessarily that he's recluse, but I think he prefers the anonymity of just being credited as the voice actor and not doing any of, like, Peter Cullen, let's face it, Peter in the last 30 or so years has, he's been the face of the brand because of who he voiced. And, and you've said this, Michael,
okay.
He essentially gives you the Hasbro answer to a lot of things. Like,
oh yeah, no, he's yeah.
I mean, that's
he's
the way
a corporate
he is.
shill. Yeah,
No, come on now. Come on now.
I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Optimus Prime.
Exactly. I said, Peter, how do you reconcile the fatherly, G1 version of Optimus Prime, the freedom is the right of all sentient beings, Optimus Prime, with this new movie version of Optimus Prime, who says things like "Give me your face." Do you feel that these are different, different sides of the coin? And he says, "No, I believe that that these are the same character and updated for a new time, yes, but the core values still hold true." And I just wanted to call bullshit on him. This is bullshit, Peter Cullen.
He could have at least given a better answer, like, "Well, Michael, we gave Optimus Prime an upgrade." Software upgrade.
It's a downgrade, to be honest.
I think next time you're at a convention and you get a chance to meet Peter Cullen, Michael, you should ask him that same question now that Age of Extinction has come out and he killed a human. Regardless of what that human did in that movie. Regardless.
And then when kill Frasier.
and then when he feeds you the answer, you just cough and go, "Bullshit."
Bullshit. That's right. Bullshit. Bullshit, Peter Cullen. Let's just start throwing tables. This is a bunch of shit, Peter Cullen.
So basically, you're going to turn into Prowl from IDW.
Exactly, we're going to prowl that table.
It's the last thing we need is to prowl the table.
So aside from that one guy who was there, voiced Megatron and such, other people were there. I met Sue Blue, which was cool, and I met John Machida Jr., which was interesting, and Derek Wyatt was there. Did we mention Derek Wyatt?
Yes, at length.
All right. Well, he was around there too. Saw Josh Perez again. He's a really nice guy. He's really funny. Who else did I see?
Did you see Josh Bertram?
I did. I saw Alex Milne. Alex Milne.
Yeah.
Milne. Sorry.
I don't know.
Milne. No, actually, no. It was pronounced Milne. I talk with some people who know. because I didn't want to mispronounce his name when I talked to him. And no, I did talk to Josh Bertram. Livio Ramondelli.
Yep, that's right.
Was there. I did not talk to him again. I didn't talk to him at TFCon, and I didn't talk to him here, and I don't know why.
Something wrong with you.
I know. I found him intimidating or something. I don't know. I was just like,
if I could have an entire Transformers comic series with just his interiors,
yeah,
I would be set because I love Livio's style.
Okay.
It's just so good.
I'll buy that. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So no, I met a lot of artists. That was kind of cool. And the voice actors were very nice. There was actually on Friday night there was a reception for the golden ticket holders, and there might have been, oh heck, 30 people in the room. I don't know.
Wow.
I didn't count them all, but yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. It was less than 50, had to have been, and it thinned out pretty quickly. And what I thought was weird, I thought, we're going to have Sue Blue here, and we're going to have John Machida here, and Derek was floating around in the mix somewhere. But, if there's 50 people here, how are we all going to be able to talk to these three people, these three VIPs, right? And it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be, because I guess a lot of these people were I don't pretend to know what was going through their minds, but they thought it was safer to kind of gravitate into the corners of the room. So yeah. So I mean, there were some people talking to Sue, and then there was some people over there talking to John, and some people talking to Derek. But eventually, it wasn't that hard to just walk up and be like, "Hey, how are you? How's it going?" And
what I find funny about all this is you have 5 total guests this year.
Yeah.
Okay. 4 of them, 2 are Sue Blue and John Machida. 1 is Derek J. Wyatt, and 1 is somebody else. I don't even know, some Japanese guy.
I forgot about him.
Yeah. So I don't even know who that guy. So all I'm thinking is, if they wanted to have, and I know they wanted to make the Frank thing special, I understand that, but if they wanted to have all 5 guests in one room, you put Sue and John, Derek and this other guy in the 4 corners, and you put Frank right in the center.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Fifth Element.
These corners would be empty. Honestly, they were, like I said, they played Frank very close to the vest.
Yeah.
It's like they had him in a special room by himself, and one person at a time walked in, one person walked out, another person walked in, another person walked out. But here again, you've got 30 to 50 people in a room. It was a good sized room. I mean, it's a banquet hall, right? Mm-hmm. And they fed us, which honestly I didn't eat very much because I just had Portillo's, and it was awesome. Because I love Portillo's. If you get to Chicago, you gotta have the Portillo's. Actually, scratch that. Get the deep dish pizza first, then try the Portillo's. Okay, so anyway,
but before you go on your story here, just to clarify, the other guy, the Japanese guy, he's from Takara. So so people don't yell at me for not saying.
No, the Japanese guy's from Takara. His name was Ono Koji, or Koji Ono, depending on how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
If you're Japanese or American, right?
Yep.
And he designed a lot of the Diaclone stuff. So like Sunstreaker, Diaclone Sunstreaker, and those, he designed a lot of those, and eventually those became Transformers. And once Takara started doing their own Transformers, then he was responsible for a lot of like Victory and Zone stuff. So like on in the Legacy book, I had him sign my Deathsaurus page because he did the Deathsaurus, and I'm never gonna meet like an artist or a voice actor from Japan.
Yeah.
Who's gonna sign that page?
Not that you never understand anything they say anyway.
No, I speak a little Japanese. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was talking with Proto Man, and some Japanese guy walked up, and Proto Man's like, "Oh, hold on a second," and he's talking to this guy. And he goes, this is so-and-so. So-and-so only speaks Japanese. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, hajimemashite, yoroshiku onegaishimasu." And he looked at me and he just laughed and he said, "Your friend speaks better Japanese than me."
Wow.
And I said, "Well, that's okay because I just exhausted my Japanese." Uh,
What
but
about what about you, Steve? What was your Frank Welker experience?
It was very quick because, well, and I only say that because they were really shuffling people through at that point. They were trying to get people in and out. Like it was. Luckily, because Michael told me, you're gonna want to get there like at least a half hour early. I was attending the new product panel, where they had the they were showing like the combiner wars and all the different bots you could make, and then they were revealing everything. And I left about halfway through that panel so that I could go get in line.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if I would have thought about it, I should have left when I saw John Bailey leave 20 minutes prior. Because the line when I got there, I was probably, I don't know, like 40 something in line. And then there was like about 150 people behind me or something.
Yeah, all the people that waited till the end of the panel.
Yep.
Yeah,
because they were coming by telling their friends that were in the beginning of the line, "Hey, yeah, this is what was at the panel," and they're like, "Oh, great, go to the end of the line."
Yeah.
They were like, "You're not cutting me."
Yeah.
So it was kind of great. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of. It was real quick. They kind of shuffled you in there. They're like, "Hey, stand on this white X on the floor."
Yeah.
And then Frank, will shake hands with you and say, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah, and then put his arm around you and then take a picture.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Okay, go in the next room. We'll get
right.
you your picture."
Yeah. All right, hit it. Well, I mean,
So
did you shake his hand? Did you make eye contact?
Yeah.
Was it just,
Yeah.
Okay? Awesome.
So I did get that. So that was nice.
That's fantastic.
It's one of those memories that'll last forever, just because I got to meet Frank Welker, the voice guy.
And we were talking about this before, but this could go either way. He could decide that he really enjoys this. He really likes reaching out to the fans. He really likes that $42,000 paycheck. He could do this a lot.
You always got to throw that money in there, don't you?
I have to, because not everyone is financially motivated, but a lot of people are. So he may decide he really likes this, and he could do this for years. Or he may decide that this is just a bunch of shit on a cracker, and I'm never doing this ever again.
I mean, I can tell by watching the panel that you had recorded and put up on YouTube that, he was very grateful. He was, kind of in shock and kind
amazed.
of, shock and amazement for, how dedicated the fans are. And, I think it's a positive thing for him, but I think it might be something where, and we might have already said this earlier in the episode, but where instead of every year or every single different convention each year that the Transformers brand does, whether it be TFCon, whether it be BotCon, whether it be whatever, maybe he comes every 2 or 3 years or every other year or something. Like, I just, knowing what I know from what I've heard from various voice actors and him liking his anonymity, I just don't think they're going to be able to get him every single year. And honestly, Frank Welker is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. He really is, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. Would you want BotCon to have him every single year and get stale?
Yeah, I felt the same way about Peter Cullen, but I've met him a couple of times.
Yeah.
And one year I went and didn't get to meet him, but I was standing 15 feet away at the end of the line, watching people walk away. And the light in their eyes is just like, oh, I met Peter Cullen. It's the most amazing thing. And for me, it's like, yeah, I've already met him a couple times, not a big deal. But for them, it was like, oh, this is amazing. And I mean, and honestly, there are people out there who didn't come to this year's BotCon because it was out in BFE, just way too far outside of Chicago. The location was horrible. I think one of the reasons why the the attendance was so low and the Frank Welker packages were failing to sell was because this place was not easy to get to. It was not a very good location.
See, I don't understand why they just don't have it at whatever convention center Chicago has, like on,
Well, yeah, they had,
like,
C2E2 is downtown.
yeah, like
Wizard World is right outside of O'Hare.
yeah,
That's a perfect place. Like where TFCon had their. We're going right back to TFCon.
Yeah.
TFCon had theirs just outside of O'Hare. It's a hop, skip, and a jump shuttle ride to the hotel from O'Hare.
Yeah.
That's where they. I don't want to say where they should have it. I don't want to play armchair convention organizer here, but somewhere in that area.
See,
There's room.
I was thinking more like on the lake, like where, in Dark of the Moon they destroyed the city. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like
You're thinking McCormick Place.
yeah, that would be kind of awesome and fun.
I don't know how much it costs to do something at McCormick Place, but McCormick Place is set up in such a way where they can give you as much room or as little room as you need.
Yeah.
And granted, it's like, wow, we got to pay this guy this ridiculous amount of money, and we can't afford to actually have a real venue. Where can we stick this? I don't know. There's this place by Chicago that's falling apart at the seams, and they're willing to do it pretty cheap. So maybe we can do it there. Yeah, no, this place was. It was. We were joking about it. It's like there was a. Oh, what was the name of the place in Dirty Dancing? This was like the place in Dirty Dancing.
I don't even remember.
Like the resort in Dirty Dancing, where, like I said, like 60 years ago. 60 years ago, this place might have been the shit. I mean, really. And then at some point, they expanded. And
it turned to shit.
And no, I mean, they expanded, and then so there's like part of it that's like really, really old. And it's like it's weird old. It's like the hotel that time forgot, and then in the middle they put a tower, and that's where most of the hotel blocks were, or the convention blocks were, and those were nicer, and then there were some that were kind of, I don't know. It was just weird. It was as if they expanded here and then 10 years later put some buildings here, and then 10 years later put some buildings here, and the whole place didn't sum up to a cohesive whole, and you could tell visually where the old stuff started. I was in one of the really old rooms. Did not have didn't have modern amenities.
No Wi-Fi, no nothing.
Well, no, I had Wi-Fi, but I had to like pump the well handle to get water to come out. I had to churn my own butter. It was really hard.
Good, Steve.
One of the things that I noticed was like the bathrooms were like the oldest freaking thing in the world.
Yeah.
It was just like you had, the typical, like when you turn on the faucet in the shower type thing and you get the scalding water that just comes out and you're just like, geez.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then it was the walls looked like they were like bleeding, like with rust.
Yeah. And what part of the hotel were you in?
I don't know. We were on
you couldn't have been in the tower.
We were on like 9th floor or something.
Oh, 9th floor had to have been the tower. Okay. Was it that bad? The tower?
The vanity outside the bathroom was redone, and the rest of the room was redone. I mean, and they even had a pretty modern TV you could plug USB into, or HDMI, which I haven't been to a hotel yet that has that. At least in Michigan. And then I was looking at the bathroom to it, and I'm like, wow, this is like the oldest effing room in the entire building, and no fan in there, so you're like literally like gagging on the steam.
I think I had a fan, but it was so loud I couldn't turn it on. I was like,
there was no fan in this.
I was over in Camp Crystal Lake. I mean, honestly, it was pretty bad over there, and it was a schlep to get all the way across the resort over to the convention center, which oddly enough was called the Mega Center. That was the name of the convention center, the Mega Center.
It was the Megatron.
It made me giggle. I was like, how fitting, you know. But it's like, no, this place isn't even important enough to get bought up by a big name. It wasn't like the Staples Mega Center. It's just like, yeah, you know, that big building that gets a shitty Wi-Fi next to the resort. Oh, yeah, that one. Oh, yeah, that's where we're going to have it. Yeah, next time they say free parking, just be like, all right, I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, it's like it's in Chicago. Oh fuck, parking's gonna be ridiculous, and it's got free parking. That's not Chicago. That's I refuse to believe that shit.
That's Gray's Lake, Illinois.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like as far as north as Gray's Lake is, that's like how far west this is. I mean, it was pretty far out of the way. Yeah.
Well, and I lucked out in our entire drive because we left it. I mean, shoot, I got up at like 4 a.m. That particular day.
So excited. I can't sleep.
Yeah, well, and I had to go pick my brothers up, so I mean that was part of it. And you know, I'm sitting there, and I get to his house about 4:45, and then we're on the road by 5. Well, we're driving. Dumbass me doesn't take into consideration that there's a time zone change along the way.
I never do either. Yeah.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, great, we're gonna make it by 9:30. Nope, we got there at 8:30.
Yeah.
And
plenty of time.
which was beneficial because we got there and we were probably, I don't know, like the 40th people in line from the door, which wasn't bad. And then I got to see it wrap around the parking lot 7 times.
Yeah. Oh, it was ridiculous how bad it wrapped. I was where the heck was I? I was coming in from the resort area, and I looked around and I was like, holy crap, look at the line out there. And I went in, and what time was it? Was it like 8:30 or something? I went in and just walked around, did my thing, and then came back out later on and looked, and the line had gotten ridiculous. And I think I was looking for you, but I didn't spot you. And I was just walking along. I'm like, God, this line is really long.
Yeah, I was so glad that we got there when we did. I was like, well, that was the nick of time. And then like just about everything I did all day was like the nick of time.
Yeah.
Even
doesn't run.
It was even messed up at the Welker panel lines that they had, because you had the VIP and then you had
that was so line. Messed up. Yeah.
And then they had the general admission people, and they're like, well, somebody from BotCon comes over. Yeah, there's no guarantee you'll get in.
Yeah. We don't even know.
You're
if
just standing here to
see.
There.
Yeah. Well, it was sad because it was like they had a sign that said Welker people here, and then they had a sign that said something like golden ticket and something here. And so I'm waiting in line because I said, well, let me and then you were like way over there, way over on the other side, in a line for registry or non-registrations. And so I'm like, are they going to clear the whole room and then seat golden ticket people, and then seat the Welker people? Or I mean, because I'd be pissed off if I paid an extra $200 and for my Welker ticket and didn't get, I don't want to say front row, but somewhere where you can see. And so one of the organizers came by, a guy that's there every year, forget his name, but he goes by D-Mac, and D-Mac's there, and he says, and I said, hey, we're talking about this, and I just want to clarify. Now, this line here is for, Welker package holders, and he said, yeah, and I said, and this line's for, what did I say, Welker and golden ticket.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if you have a golden ticket, you can just go in and sit. And I said, well, I thought they were going to clear the room out. And he goes, yeah, everybody except golden ticket.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. So I said, see ya, and I just trotted out a line and went in. And it was probably 15 minutes before the Welker thing even started. And I just took my seat right in front of the panel. I mean, literally like right in front of the panel. It was like, this is the best seat ever. And I sat there, and that was it. It might have been. It might have been.
A little bit to the left.
It was a little bit to the left, but I'll tell you what the thing was. Is there's an aisle right directly in front of Frank Welker, so I couldn't sit in the aisle.
That's true.
Yeah, but and then they had the like the computer and everything, all the stuff set up like right in front there, so it was not a very good place to stand.
It almost kind of reminded me when I got the video of Scott McNeil at TFCon a few years back.
Yeah.
I was like 6 people from him, like in the front row.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, so I don't know. I was really happy about the golden ticket. I mean, on the one hand, it was kind of expensive. And part of me is like, wow, man, do I really need a golden ticket? You know, but on the other hand, it was handy to have because I did the reception. You know, got to hang out with, you know, the voice actors at the reception. I got to get in early. I was first in line for everything. Got really good seats at the panels. So it's like, is that worth an additional $400? Maybe not. I don't know. I can't say. You know?
But you did benefit from it. So
I did benefit. You know, honestly, after I spent the money and I just had it in my hand, right? It was such a valuable tool. It was a very nice thing to have. It made everything a lot nicer. I don't think I would have been as happy. You know, I've been to a lot of BotCons. I've never had a golden ticket, and I've always been midway to the back in these panels, you know, and trying to get a picture. I'm redoing some of the photos on my blog, and I just looked at my BotCon 2006 2006 page, and I'm updating the photos, and I'm looking at all the photos I took at the Hasbro presentation, and not a single one of them are in focus. It's too far away and jostling. It was a mess, and yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember it, and the pictures just don't do it justice. So I was like, damn, you know, I'm kind of glad that I had front row seats for all this stuff. I mean, it was, again, maybe I would have paid $200 for it. Don't know if I would have paid $4. Yeah, and especially since like Saturday, it's like you put $400 to register so you can do the one of the things you get to do is the awards dinner on Saturday, and they feed you like dinner. You know, you put another $400 down, and you figure you're gonna get another dinner, and that wasn't so much the case. They had light hors d'oeuvres and desserts. They had desserts too at the Friday reception, and there were a lot of people there who had like literally like 3 plates of food. You know, this was their dinner. Come hell or high water. You know? Like three plates of hors d'oeuvres, and they're just 2 fists in it. You know.
Yeah. Well,
like,
that's because
right,
food
that's
there
cool.
in general is expensive as all hell.
Oh, you know, honestly, that's not true. It's not like Disney World. You've got you like you have the resort here on one corner of these 2 highways, and then on the next corner you've got a Target, and on the other corner you've got a Walmart. So honestly, there's no reason why you can't just cross the street and buy some food. I was seriously tempted to go across the street and get a bunch of Lunchables. If I had had a fridge in my room, I would have bought a buttload of Lunchables and just eaten that.
You didn't have a fridge?
No. I told you, I was in the room that time forgot.
Oh, geez. We had fridge and a refrigerator and a microwave.
What is this? Some sort of castle that was converted into a modern home or something? So seriously, it's like Michael.
I told you, I'm in Camp Crystal Lake over here, man. I don't got any amenities.
It's like
you're like, I didn't have nothing, and you're like, and I'm like, well, I had everything except for the bathroom.
Well,
it's
I had a bathroom.
It's kind of like 2 Disney movies combined. It's kind of like Michael was in the jail cells from Robin Hood, and Steve was in the castle tower from The Sword and Stone.
Something like. Well, you know what's funny though is when I checked in, I said, you know, I got the group rate. She's like, yeah, your group rate is. I want to say the convention rate was 112 for the room, and then she said, okay, for I wasn't sure if I was going to be there for 2 nights or 3, and she said, well, you can check out whenever you want, and I said, okay, so I go to sign in, and it says 237. And I said, well, hold on a second. Is this 237 for the first 2 nights that I'm going to stay? And she goes, oh, no, wait, sorry, that's the wrong paperwork. So apparently there were people staying there who were paying $237 a night. And honestly, I've been in hotels that are worth $237 a night. This place was not worth $237 a night. It wasn't worth 112.
We paid because of when I called, there were no. This was like in March.
Yeah.
They had no
hotel blocks.
Yeah, there was nothing left as far as online. I had to call and get a room, and they had their cheapest room online was $430.
Whoa! A night?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
So I called, and you
could have just stayed with me.
Oh, I know.
I had 2 beds.
I had 3 bodies in my room.
You guys could have shared a bed, your siblings.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, my one brother did have a rollaway, but
all right.
But yeah, we
let's all flip a coin to see who's sleeping on the floor.
Let's see who's sleeping in the exactly.
Well, it's funny because
sleeping in the car tonight.
I called for the Wi-Fi because they didn't tell us anything about the Wi-Fi, and we all got back to the room. We were like, I want fucking Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We were eating our pizza from Pizza Hut that we spent entirely too much on, and I wish we would have got.
Oh my god! You guys come to Chicago? You Pizza Hut.
We were trying to find cheap food, and we didn't know really where we were going, so it was kind of spur of the moment.
You could have ordered Giordano's, had them deliver.
Yeah, we weren't sure what was going to deliver. Had we paid attention, there was a freaking Papa John's right across the street.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I would.
And I didn't know that, and I was like, "You got to be shitting me," because there's none around here.
Yeah. There's no
anymore.
Papa John's by you?
No, they all closed down.
Oh. Oh. Well, I guess
so
that
it was
would be exciting if you'd never seen one. You know. Like,
well, I'd had it before because we used to have 3 of them around us, but then they all closed down over the last 10 years. So
there's a reason for that.
Nobody bought it.
There's a reason for that.
So I mean, I kind of it kind of sucked anyway. But yeah, so I was calling down there and I was like, yeah, might want to get a rollaway too. While I'm getting the Wi-Fi password.
Oh man, yeah, no, that's like a ridiculous sum for any hotel room. Honestly,
I ended up getting it for $159, but
oh, awesome! How'd that happen?
It was the last room they had.
Okay.
It was pure luck. It was pure stupid luck.
But it wasn't 400 though, because.
No, it was 159. I was geeked.
Oh my god. Yeah. No, I mean there were people that, like I said, there were people paying 237, and again, I had like just the worst room. I was literally. I didn't have a fridge, so I couldn't actually put meat and cheese in my room to eat. So I was eating Cliff Bars, and I had Carnation instant breakfasts pre-bottled, and I would just shake them up and chug it for breakfast.
Wow.
And lunch. Actually, I ran back to my room, grabbed another one for lunch.
Oh,
and then
damn. You're the new spokesman for Subway. Two breakfast shakes and 2 subs for lunch and dinner.
And a sensible dinner.
Yeah.
That's right.
Shake and bake.
I don't know if I actually lost any weight while I was
I don't know.
And again, seriously, this is like a 12-hour hike. You're literally up and walking the floor, running back and forth across the resort. There was no rest involved.
I was exhausted by the time I got back to the room. My brother, when we left, he'd just got out of work like 2 hours before we started our trip.
Man. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to sleep in the car. And then he changes his mind. He's like, I'm just going to stay awake.
Oh, jeez.
So he sleeps literally like 20 minutes in the car on the way to the convention.
Yeah.
And then
he stayed up all day?
Oh, he stayed up all day.
Oh, holy cow.
I don't know how he did it, but I used to be able to do that, but I can't anymore. But yeah, he got back to the room. He ate half a pizza because we bought 2 large pizzas.
Yeah.
He ate half a pack of Oreos, and then he was gone. He was down, face down into the bed. He was out.
Out.
I was like, damn, it didn't take him long.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't have. I was gonna say I didn't even have a TV, man. This sucks. But no, I had a TV. I don't think I turned it on. Normally, if I'm in a hotel room, I'll turn on the TV, watch a little TV, pass out. But no, I was so tired. I Skyped my kids, told them good night, passed out. That was it for me. Um, uh, oh man, I want to say one of the nights I went out to like the parts parties and did those. And just to see because they had a total and complete ban on third party products, right? So Thursday night, yeah, definitely Thursday night. I was out, um, visiting rooms in the hotel that hosted third party items. So it's like Render Form was in a room, and Make Toys was in a room, and a couple of the vendors that sell the third party stuff had their own room.
Yeah.
And then there was a few vendors who just had all their shit in their room on shelves and just walked in and, what do you got? Um, yeah, no, it was nice. I oh, I'm sure I complained to Steve about this. I don't know if I complained publicly, but I had a list, and
Yep,
this is
I
yeah,
remember.
you remember? Okay, I had a list. This is I used to maintain a database of all my Transformers. And this was years ago. I haven't updated it since, but back then I want to say I had like 2,300 items. But there were lists online. I want to say there used to be a big bot, and for every Transformers line that would come out, they would list all of the toys, and not just the U.S. toys, but like the Japanese exclusives and stuff like that. Whoever maintained this list did a really good job. So I took all those lists, and I made one big list, and then I went through and checked all the ones I, have it, don't have it, don't got it. I have this one, but I'm missing a missile, that type of thing. And, completely filled out all the stuff that I had, and then filtered that database for items that I didn't have or items that I had stuff missing. And that printed out to about 7 pages. And then I put pictures. I went on like tfu.net and found pictures of all the items I didn't have and stuck and pasted them into my pages. So now I have this, 7, 8 page list of items that I want, that I need to fulfill my collection, and had pictures next to them. And I had carried this list with me to all the conventions, all the Comic Cons, everywhere I went, that might sell Transformers. And when I bought one, I would cross it off the list. And I had this list in my back pocket because I wanted to go to the parts parties. And you have, G1 punch counter punches blue gun. I have the yellow one, but I don't have the blue one. And in reality, I don't know which one I have. The only reason I know which one I have is because it was on the list, and I dropped the list. Lost my list, couldn't find it, and then went back to all the other rooms that I had already been in, and everyone's like, "Hey, you're back. What do you want to buy?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I lost my list." And they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen it." So most likely it dropped, and a very helpful cleaning lady threw it away. Because that's what cleaning ladies do when they find wads of paper on the ground. So I
This would
don't.
have been helpful to use the Wi-Fi to print out the list off your website.
No, seriously, this list it was literally something I printed out 8 years ago and just carried it around. I I never went back to update my database. So even if I printed it out, it would give me a list of everything that I didn't have 8 years ago, and wouldn't help me now. I mean, I guess I could go through my entire collection and find the stuff that I do have and cross it off. I guess that makes sense. But it would be difficult to do. So I don't know. So part of me is saying, this is the universe's way of telling me that I need to quit collecting Transformers. Or at least, let me know that I'm not obligated to buy any more stuff because, I don't know what to buy anymore. On the other hand, everything that I could remember that I still had that I didn't currently have on I just bought it. I said, you know what? This might be my last convention. I think I'm just gonna buy everything that I remember. So I got like the last like couple headmasters or the last couple target masters I didn't have, the last power master I didn't have. Just crossing the lists off for the last of the like 86, 87 guys that I didn't have yet. And maybe I got them all now. I don't know. I don't have a list anymore. Eventually I'm gonna have to revisit my collection and see, but for right now I'm just going to assume that I have them all.
Gotta catch them all.
Sadly I have a completionist mentality, and I do. You've seen my collection. This is ridiculous.
No, I know.
How do people live like this?
I've seen your collection, and I've seen the giant stack of boxes you keep in your closet too.
Exactly. I even found an orange bone crusher.
Jeez.
I know. So my orange Devastator, can take the knockoff that he has for an arm and actually put a real bone crusher on.
If it's not green and purple, it's not Devastator. That's all I gotta say.
The orange Devastator is the best Devastator.
No.
Oh yes,
No.
G2 Devastator is a sight to behold.
Hell
It's
no.
awesome.
Steve, so do you think you would like to or enjoy going to BotCon again after this first experience, or are you just ready to wash your hands of it?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm ready to wash my hands of it. I guess it would depend on the location.
Yeah.
That would be primary. I would go again. I mean, the only thing that's stopping me from going to TFCon again is the location and the fact that it was like a group vacation thing when we did it. So, I mean, that's really the only thing that I could see stopping me from going.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to focus on more of the local, stuff I can drive to within a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then drive home and kind of like how Grand Con's been to that degree. So, I mean, I don't think I'm going to... I won't say I won't ever go again, but I'm not planning on going just yet. If that makes any sense.
Wasn't that one G1 episode where they were stealing cars, the Decepticons were stealing cars, wasn't that like in Detroit? They could really have BotCon in Detroit next year. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. TFCon, again, to beat this dead horse, is not currently, but they have
three conventions this year. They have Canada, North Carolina, and Chicago.
Well, no, it's not this year. 2016 is in Chicago. They're having it in Charlotte this year, and then next year will be in Chicago.
I interpreted that as they were having all three this year. As in their July is this one, they're having the Charlotte one, and then in October they're having the Chicago one.
Really? See, that's not what that's not how I took it, but that would be really cool. I would totally go to the one in October.
I would, but I can't.
It's nearby.
I know, but I've hit my quota for the year.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I already I already bought one of each. If I went, it would just be to see my friends, people that I know there.
I may try and go to C2E2 next year, though.
Oh, C2E2 is awesome.
I want to go to a regular comic convention.
Well, Wizard World is having theirs in August, and that's up at O'Hare. That's closer for you at least. I'm taking the kids. I take the kids on. Yeah, well, what's screwy is like my wife had planned my boy's birthday party on the Saturday, and then I usually take my kids on the Sunday. So it'll be a busy couple of days.
It's tempting.
Well, those are, I don't know. I mean, those are different because those are like $50 to get in. And then if you do want to talk to, if you want to, meet a voice actor, you can walk up and shake their hand and say hi. But if you want a picture, it's $40. If you want a signature, it's $40.
Yeah, they charge you for everything.
Yeah, they charge the hell out of you. Yeah.
That's what press passes were invented for.
At least their registration is actually open and working.
Exactly. Well, what was funny too is when there was all this registration issues for BotCon, TFCon put up their registration like 6 months early. It said, "Hey, come register for our convention because our registration actually works."
Well, what's funny is half the staff for TFCon was staff at BotCon.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I recognized a lot of the guys from TFCon when I went a couple of years back.
Nice.
That's funny.
Yeah. It is funny. I wouldn't have expected that. But yeah.
Proto Man was on staff.
Was he on staff? I just saw him hanging
Yeah.
out. He didn't have like
Yeah.
the hat, you know?
No, he didn't have to have a hat. He had the badge.
No, I didn't notice. Normally, a lot of those guys would have the BotCon shirt and the hat. When I was, oh man, when you were getting your picture with Welker, I went back to get a second picture because the first one was positioned wrong, and they said if you want you can take another picture, and I said I totally want. So I went to the front of the line, and me and a couple other people needed it done, so they hustled us in real quick, got a picture really quick, and then hustled us out, and I was the last one to get mine printed. So I'm sitting in the secondary room when they bring in all the Hasbro guys, and they brought the Hasbro guys in right out of the Hasbro panel. So they all walk in, and I'm like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And they're like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Hey, quick question. You guys are gonna paint that Devastator yellow, right? You can't just make that something like that, and only give it a green color. You're gonna have to, repaint it
No,
to
they're
recoup
not. Green and purple only.
You got to repaint it to recoup the costs. Well, look at the Metroplex. They didn't repaint Metroplex. They totally should have done Metro Titan, but they didn't repaint it. They are adding new parts to it and calling it Fort Max. So we're gonna have a new Fort Max, right?
So is this thing going to be 4 feet tall or 10 feet tall?
No, it depends. I don't know, but no, they're taking the Metroplex mold and they're doing some remolding to it and repainting it to look like Fortress Maximus, which is awesome. And they're giving him a headmaster, which is awesome. I love that idea. But
Is
again,
it Cerebros?
yeah. But here you've got this mold that's 2 foot tall. What are you going to do next to it? There's only so much you can do to something as recognizable as a Devastator. You got to paint him orange. So, so they said, "Oh, we hadn't thought of that, but if anybody asks, we'll tell them it was your idea."
Right.
And I'm like, you're funny. So at this point, they shuffle all the Hasbro guys into the next room, and they shake hands with Frank. They talk, and they're chatting, And I know that outside this room, there's a line of 150 people waiting to get a picture taken. But inside the room, and I'm kind of standing next to the door, peeking in, is all the Hasbro guys hamming it up with Frank Welker and just hanging out. And I was like, well, this is an interesting place to be right now. Listening to the Hasbro guys, fawn over Frank Welker. Because, who wouldn't, You're basically getting your picture taken as a group with all the people who produce the line, and here's the guy who basically started half the line. He voiced half the original lineup.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, so that was fun. That was interesting. And then after I actually got my picture printed and I wandered out, I went and hung out in line with Steve.
Yep. I was like, whoa, because you were just popping out of nowhere.
Yeah. I was like, hey, how's it going? Yeah.
Well, when you're one of the 7 dwarfs, that's what happens.
Well, it was either, talk to Steve or talk to John Bailey, and John Bailey's like, who the hell are you? Steve, my friend, you know me, right? You're not, yeah. Steve's like, I gotta go, I'm like, all right, never mind.
I told Steve next time we need to have one of those oversized digital recorders so you guys could actually do a live podcast without needing all this equipment.
That honestly, that would be hard to do. I don't even think Kilby's guys did that.
What?
Did a live podcast.
They did, I think.
Oh, they did.
I know they covered all the events.
Well, yeah.
They may have edited it later, but I don't know.
No, I don't. But I mean, they weren't like in the show floor trying to do shit. There's just no way. I mean, I could
They had
see.
guys set up, I guess.
No. I'm saying that you guys could go off into a corner somewhere and just do a live podcast with the two of you with something like the Tascam linear PCM recorder.
Oh.
I mean, not necessarily.
Or I could just use my cell phone and call into the Blog Talk Radio number.
Okay, there is that, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah, that might work. That may or may not.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was for one, you'd have to have signal for that. But yeah, I don't know. It's too much crap to carry around in that. There's not really a lot of room to move.
I was half the time I was wondering if I should wear my backpack in there because it's well, the nice thing was it wasn't attendance was down. Attendance was down.
Really?
So yeah, so you could actually maneuver through the hall, through the down the aisles in between things because sometimes it's so packed you can't get through, and this time it wasn't that packed. Anyway,
BotCon that time forgot.
Yeah, it's a BotCon. Well, yeah, it was like a throwback to older BotCons where people didn't actually show up. I guess. I don't know.
Nobody could find it, so they just didn't come.
It was hard to get to, And the sad thing is well, this isn't sad. I guess it's good if you live in Chicago, but the Blackhawks had just won their championship, so they were having on Thursday a parade through Chicago, and the people who were there, were like, "Hey, I think I'm going to hang out in Chicago for the day." Kind of didn't, and then the people who were driving in kind of got stuck in the traffic that was going through Chicago. So they did. So it took, they're like, "Oh my God, it took me 3 hours to get in here." I was talking to Thorazine, because he was there, and he was like, "You know what? We drove in." And my GPS told me to go through Chicago. And I'm like, well, why don't you take, 990 to 294 and 294 down to 88? And he's like, yeah, that's gibberish to me. I have no idea. And I'm like, dude, you didn't have to go through the city to get here. You could have bypassed all that. But yeah, a lot of people having a lot of traffic issues. And, like I said, even when you're well outside of the city, it's still another 45 minutes to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, and see, that's the thing. It's like, and I don't want to sit here and rag on BotCon, but I'm still going to do it regardless. It's one of those things where they could have chosen a better location within Chicago city limits proper. Like something very easy to get to, something that is going to be 45 minutes away from every other frigging thing. Mm-hmm. This is one of the reasons why I said use the river. You could have people ferry in or something. I don't know.
It doesn't really work that way.
I know. I understand. I'm just saying that it's one of those things where you pick a location for a convention like BotCon that travels, most of the time it travels, or it has in its, 10-year history or 11-year, however the hell many times BotCon under Club is at, whatever.
Yeah.
You're supposed to pick a city, so if people on their downtime after the convention is kind of over for the day or the evening, that people can actually enjoy the city. But if you have something that's 45 minutes in bum freak Cybertron, then who the hell knows?
Yeah. No, this place was really hard to get to. And a lot of people flew in to like O'Hare and found out that it was going to be an hour and a half to get there. And I want to say that they provided shuttles, but I'm not sure if they actually did. That would have been the right thing to do. Let's get some shuttles so that people don't have to, pay a taxi cab however long to get here. I don't know. I drove in. I'm local, so it wasn't that terrible. I had a unique situation in that I had a wedding to attend on Saturday night, so I drove to BotCon drove there on Thursday straight out of work, and then stayed over Thursday, and then stayed over Friday, and then Saturday left to go to a wedding, stayed overnight there, and then came back on Sunday. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to come back on Sunday, but then I thought, yeah, there's stuff I want to see. I want to see that script reading, maybe buy some more stuff in the dealer room. And I was kind of glad I went back.
I did buy some Transformers art, but it wasn't from anybody that was any of the artists that were notable along the sides.
Oh, okay.
And then, because it was Dragon Megatron and regular Primal.
There you go. Okay.
And then I almost wish I would have had like a printout of my Transformer that's going to be in the new art. It's one I had drawn years ago by Josh Burcham.
Mm-hmm.
Of my truck as a Transformer in the style of like Optimus Prime with a fusion cannon on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I had that drawn by him years ago. I just... it would have been cool to have it signed.
Yeah, no, that would have been cool. He was really nice about signing, and I'm not usually one to buy like art. Basically because I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it home and leave it in the pile. And it would be really cool if I could frame it and put it up, and but that's not so much what's going to happen. And I know how I work. And so it's like I went and I talked to Josh, but I didn't like buy art. And on the one, it's like, damn, you can't just go up and get a signature from someone on your book and not buy something. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, I can. Yeah, sure, why not?
I go for the art anymore, but that's because I don't have the space. Plus, I like having crap to put on my walls now.
Yeah.
And I have posters that are signed by like Mark McKenna and Scott McNeil and stuff like that. So
that's always cool.
Wait, who told you can't just stand in line to have somebody sign your book and not buy something? Who told you that?
Well, no, I wasn't standing in line. I just walked up and said, "Hey, Josh, how's it going?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, how's the convention treating you?" And he's, doing pretty well. And he's like, "Oh yeah, just doing some commissions." And I said, "Hey, I hate to pester you, but I got Jim Sorenson's book. Have you seen it?" And he's like, "I think so. Let me see." And so I showed it to him, and I said, "Would you mind signing it?" And he's like, "Oh no, let me sign it."
Yeah,
so I mean, I sat down, I had a there was nobody like crowding him. It was just, "Hey, how's it going?"
Right.
We talked for a few minutes. I asked him to sign my book. And then later on, I was talking to who was I talking to? I don't think it was Proto Man. It was somebody else. And then Alex Milne walked up and started talking to us. And I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "Alex, I hate to pester you. Would you mind signing my book?" And he's like, "Oh no, I don't mind." And I guess when you have a signature with a doodle in your book, and you showed it to another artist, they immediately want to doodle too.
Yeah.
So so I have this page in my legacy book with a bunch of doodles on it. It's kind of cool.
Well, you made it sound like someone told you that you couldn't just have, and I'm thinking, wait a second.
No, I mean that's just common courtesy.
Well,
that's
right,
not.
but
Maybe I'm the only courteous guy here. I don't know.
I'm thinking you paid to go to the convention, right?
Yeah.
You paid to go to the convention. You paid for all this stuff to get at the convention, the Frank Welker thing and everything else.
That is true.
BotCon is not Free Comic Book Day. I mean, Free Comic Book Day is the place where you really need to buy stuff and not just go there for the damn free comics. I mean, BotCon, you're spending, in some cases, thousands and thousands of dollars. It's like you should be able to bring and have people sign whatever the hell you want them to sign.
Yeah. No, I get that, but at the same time, the guy's got a booth. He's got all of his wares in front of him, and it's you walk up and you look and you're like, wow, this is nice art. I'm not going to buy any of it, but here, sign my book. It just kind of felt weird. But lots met a lot of people, did a lot of interesting things.
Lots of stuff at BotCon 2015 this year.
It was a good thing. I don't know if I'll do it again. I don't know. I'll still continue to do like conventions. I just don't know if I'll do a BotCon. We had this conversation with a couple people there. It's like they've been in Pasadena 2-3 times now. And and it's easy for them to get voice actors to come to Pasadena because, they live there.
Mhm.
That's where they live, and they don't have to fly them out. They don't have to feed them. They don't have to pay for their hotel rooms. It's, hey, you mind driving 5 minutes downtown and talking to some people for us, and we'll spring for lunch, and they can have the entire cast of Transformers Prime. They can have the entire cast of Rescue Bots. They can have 4 or 5 G1 voice actors, because if they're still working, they're working somewhere near Pasadena.
True.
And that, or they can have Michael Bay's secondary stunt coordinator come out and talk to people.
Nobody gives a shit about that guy.
Nobody gives a shit about that guy, but again, that guy lives in the area. They can come out and we'll flip for lunch. Sure, okay, cool. You can't do that in Chicago. You can't do that anywhere else except Pasadena. So I think that as long as they're still making movies, which they're announcing now, they're making buttloads of movies. A whole mythos, a shared
they
universe.
got canceled.
Did it?
No, I was just seeing if you believe me.
Oh no, I was about to say, that's terrible, because I see the potential there, right?
The He-Man movie needs to come to light before another Transformers movie does.
Kill I want to see that Thundercats movie. Where's my live action Thundercats? But no, I think if they continue to go that route, BotCon should probably stay in Pasadena.
Yeah, probably.
And that's the best thing for Fun Pub, and they're sadly, I can't justify heading out to California for an annual BotCon run.
And not every year, maybe every other year, every few years. Steve, what is going on with all things Transformers? Because this was supposed to be the grand finale episode, but it's not.
Yeah, I changed my mind.
Prerogative.
Yeah, so I figured we'd bring it back with All Things Transformers version 3, which will be the final version, and it'll continue the numbering as 51, as normal. 52. So it'll be 51.
Steve is suddenly not bored with Transformers anymore. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, it had something to do with going to a convention. I don't know what the hell that's all about. But yeah, it's funny how you suddenly care again.
Yeah. Give it another 25 episodes. You'll change your mind.
Yeah, I know. Another review podcast. I'll be like, I'm done with this shit. No, but my son's watching Transformers Animated.
Oh, nice.
Which is, funny enough, the show that I didn't really care for all that much when we watched it on the review podcast until I got to season 3, and then now I've got a greater appreciation for it, being that I'm watching it with him.
Yeah, everything old is new.
And his favorite character is Grimlock.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
He loves Grimlock. It's a dinosaur, and he loves the fact that he hates cars.
Really? Hates cars?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, well, there's the initial episode.
Yeah.
Because my son has the book that goes along with it. It's like a companion, like kid book type thing. I don't know where we got it, but he loves it. And Grimlock says in there's a line that he goes, "Cars and trucks bad," and and so like. And then he says, "Car robots worse." And then so my son thinks it's funny because I sit there and I do all the voices during the entire book.
Oh no!
Of all the characters as best I can. I usually, just for S and Gs, I change Megatron to Beast Wars.
There you go. As it should be.
So yes, as it should be. Or I sometimes throw in a Welker just to mess with him. But so I mean, I read that, and he likes the episode, and we watch the show, but he also knows what they all turn into.
Yeah.
Like, Prime, fire truck, Ratchet, ambulance, Bulkhead, big truck. Bumblebee, little car, and then Prowl, bike.
Bulkhead, sports utility vehicle.
Well, that's what he knows about.
Yeah.
So like he thinks it's great, and I'm like, okay. Like, what they are, that's cool. And then I'm also watching Robots in Disguise, the new show, so.
Yeah, I have my kids watching the new show now, and that's pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Have you watched all 26 episodes?
Well, I've only watched the 15 that have been on TV so far.
Yeah,
Okay.
not every. See, that's the thing. It's like I don't know if it was you under one of your pseudonym accounts or whatever else, or somebody else, but somebody commented on our Transformers Rid animated number 0 thing, saying, "Oh, you know that,
Nope.
you can watch the whole thing here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I understand that, but I want to watch it on TV as it happens. I don't want to,
Yeah, that's too much effort. That's gonna take up too much of my time.
I
literally had I had like 10 episodes recorded before I even watched the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have cable, so I had to go that route.
Yeah.
But no, that was not me.
I didn't think it was, but I'm just saying. I know how you work.
Typically
sometimes.
don't reply on anything.
Yeah.
But
Comments,
so
that'll rot your brain.
yeah. So yeah, I watched it. I will say that you will see some of the 13 show up.
Oh, I was gonna say Megatronus is coming. I knew that.
Yeah, Megatronus, and then there's
the Micronus.
Micronus, which is teaching Prime how to be a Prime again, because apparently he's forgotten.
He has forgotten. Yeah.
Since Predacon Rising, he doesn't know how to be a Prime anymore. So.
Well, it's bothersome because it's like this show is really doing really well without Prime. And I honestly don't see why they're bringing him back. I see why, because he sells toys, but I don't see why they're bringing him back.
Well, they do.
I think he's integral to the story. I think he's distracting to the story.
I think that they're going to eventually bring Megatron back too, but
I don't think there is a damn story. Honestly, I understand they're marketing.
There is one.
I understand they're marketing this new cartoon to the kid audience. I mean, this is essentially a little bit more like maybe teen version of Rescue Bots at this point.
No, it's Transformers Pokemon.
Well, okay, there's that too.
Yeah, they get
and
they're all animals.
Yeah,
what's that Pokemon?
Yeah.
It's animals that transform. Yeah, exactly. It's animals that transform into cars. That's kind of cool, I guess.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love hearing Will Friedle as Bumblebee, and I love the interactions between Sideswipe and Strongarm. But honestly, the show to this point, there have been a couple of good episodes, but this isn't my kind of Transformers. I'm not dissing the show, and I know it's not supposed to be my kind of Transformers. I understand that. I'm just saying that it just needs to hurry the hell up with some storyline.
It does. You just have to give it to the second half.
Oh.
I haven't got to the second half yet.
No.
Well, it does I
just watched the episode where they found, or they arrested all the bad guys and then lost them. And I said, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
They get him back.
They get him back.
And I can tell all the listeners right now, there will be no individual Transformers Robots in Disguise review podcast. I can say that right now at least I won't be doing it. We will. Steve, do you mind if I say this, or do you want me to not say it?
Wait till before we close out.
Okay.
Okay. I was actually tempted to try something like that with or try something similar to Roll to the Rescue Bots, except with this show.
Yeah.
And
I enjoy this one. I think it's really good.
It's a good show. I like it.
And it continues Prime.
Yeah, kind of.
No, it does.
In a
they actually said in season
2D, 3D animation kind of way, yeah.
They changed the animation, but they did in Beast Wars to Beast Machines too. So I mean,
true.
Yeah,
it's not really any different. It's just continuing. But again, it jumps a few years, and they said in season 2 you're going to see a lot of the Prime characters come back.
Yeah.
So they're setting up for it. It's just they kind of wrap up, not to really spoil anything, but when Prime comes back, he more or less, Bumblebee's like, oh, you're gonna be my leader again, and he's like, no, we'll be equals. Basically,
arise, Bumblemus Prime.
Yeah, basically Bumblebee is gonna help teach him again, which I don't know why he reverted. Other than because he merged with the Allspark, in Predacon Rising.
Yeah, it's just so much Bumble baggage when it comes to Bumblebee.
Bumble baggage.
But he does get a slogan finally.
Oh,
I don't want to hear it. Don't spoil
No.
it.
I can't remember what it is, but
I think my
he does
favorite
get
one so far actually happened in the pilot episode, Roll Up and Roll Out.
Roll up.
Because all I can think of is Transformers fruit roll-ups.
There was a one of the scenes that the Hasbro people showed was Bumblebee trying to figure out what his new tagline should be, and he says one and he writes it down and he's like, nah, that sounded better in my head, and he crumbles it, throws it over his shoulder, and he's in the junkyard, right, the scrapyard, and he keeps making piles and piles and piles, and finally, they show the sun set, the moon comes out, he's been doing it all night, and Strongarm comes out and she's like, sir, what are you doing? And he's like, I can't do it justice, because he would say something and then he would immediately say something else and rhyme with it.
Oh.
Because it was like, I'm all right, and everything's tight. And she's like, sir, I think you need to recharge. And he's like, I need to recharge on the barge. And he's got Post-it notes all over his face.
I need to recharge because I'm at large.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like that. And she just kind of like helps him up and, puts drapes him over her shoulder. Kind of helps him away. Kind of like an old drunken friend you found in the gutter. Like, what are you doing down there? Come on, let me help you back to your house,
It's kind of like Megatron being drunk on Energon and G1 Microbots.
Energy. It was something like that, but no, he was having a hard day and he couldn't figure out what his new slogan should be. But only hear what it ends up being, because that would ruin it.
I'm not going to ruin it.
Don't ruin it.
So, I think, because I plan on planning out episodes from now on.
Novel idea.
Kind of like what we did when we went to actually close it out. So, anything you guys want to pimp out before Mike spoils what the surprise is, we close out?
I have nothing to pimp. I've done absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Well, you need to start doing
Go
stuff.
for it, Mike.
I'll try.
All right, so here's the thing. I am to the point now where podcasting needs to be a hugely pre-produced thing, where it frees all of us up to not be set into a weekly thing where we, oh my God, it's Thursday, we absolutely have to sit down to record this because it comes out in 2 days. So, everybody's been asking me if Transformers Primetime is still happening. Yes, it is. It will not start airing until, if you checked your email this morning, you'd find this out. It would not start airing.
I'm on vacation. Don't check shit.
It will not start airing until probably summer of 2016. The TFG2 podcast, supposedly, is also going to be happening. And that'll be the end of our Transformers coverage for now as far as in-depth review shows. I just, so far, in the middle of Season 1 of Robots in Disguise, I just don't think it's a cartoon that I can dedicate the time I've dedicated to the others. So what Steve and I are going to do is we're going to set a certain section aside of each, whether we want to do it every 2 weeks or... And I'm not saying the podcast, Steve. I'm saying whether we want to take 2 episodes and put them in one podcast or whatever else. It's essentially the Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon stuff is going to be talked about in all things Transformers, is what it's going to happen. So, so that's the plan as far as that goes.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Interesting.
And Transformers Primetime and the TFG2 podcast are going to have a hell of a lot more voices in them than the original, especially with TFG2. It's the original TFG1 podcast. That was fun, amazing, but it's really rough in the beginning. My goal with Primetime and TFG2 is to have as many different opinions and voices as we possibly can have.
Awesome.
So, yep.
Sounds good.
And there's one other beastly surprise, but that'll be for another day.
That's a terrible idea, but okay.
No, it's not.
Okay. So, thank you for listening to All Things Transformers. You can get a hold of us in the following ways. You can contact us on the website, geekcastradio.com. You can follow it on Twitter at All Things Transformer. Yes, minus the S. Twitter wouldn't let me have it longer. My Twitter handle is at SCP21, and yours are?
TFU and Mike.
And I think I'm still at Pecan Court Michael.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, until next time, transform and roll out.